is in your eyes. Come to me. It's my face. Damn, bitch. What the fuck? Okay, so hi pals, starting right in the middle of it. Ignore my red face, it's hot inside and I've just used retinol, and my face irregularly just likes to be annoying about it. So I decided that I am sad. As if I'm not always sad, but I've decided to do another like binge watch of Dawson's Creek. I watched it for the first time ever, like literally ever. I've never seen anything about it. I had no idea what the fuck it was until I watched it last year, and I would honestly have no idea why I even chose to watch it. It was just on, it came on Netflix. And I was like, okay, seeing as I'm watching loads of really fucking old shows at the moment, this is one I haven't seen, know nothing about, but know is like a major like cult classic when it comes to TV shows. You know, kind of like a 91210 forgets every single cult like classic TV show that ever existed. You know, ones that weren't about anything. One Tree Hill, I guess, is kind of one. Had a lot of the same actors from what I could see. Maybe Gilmore Girls, could that could vaguely be one of them. Anyway, steering off the point. God, I need meds. What was my fucking point? Oh yeah, so I started watching it probably at the beginning of winter. I love how we're still in winter. It just got worse. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking loved it. Absolute iconic shit. One of the very few shows that ended the way I wanted it. One of the few shows that ended the way I wanted it to end. My OTP made it, which is like rare because for one, most of my OTPs are gay. And they're never canon, like 90% of the time, or they die. So the rarest of the rare, a straight ship, and a ship that is endgame. You know, I'm not going to discuss that right now because I basically decided, you know, the whole point of why I fucking started filming this, hello, is that I kind of want to just do like maybe not an episode by episode kind of commentary, but like semi-regular as I go through it the second time round, because honestly the first time was such a fucking ride. I feel like I probably missed a lot of things. I can now kind of reflect on some like foreshadowing maybe, you know, and it's just something to spend my time doing that makes me not want to kill myself. So I might just maybe, because how many seasons are there? There's 6 seasons and they go by like, this was the good old days when you got like 22 episodes a season, or like 24 to 26 or something like that, like actual mental amount of episodes, and these are like 45 minutes long each. Wow. So I thought I would just kind of do a seasonal, hello, what the fuck are words, a video a season. There we go. Why did that take so long? Because I'm neurodivergent. I'm gonna make a lot of like comments and jokes like that at the moment because I'm really struggling with myself and my life at the moment. Got a haircut by the way, hey? Because I like TV shows. I really enjoy old TV shows, and I particularly enjoyed this one. I studied acting for a long time, and I also, I mean, you know me, I make lots of jokes about having a degree in creative writing. But I mean, it's not a joke, it's true. And also like the spoiler of the very, very end of this show is that it's basically all based on a real person's life. And at the end of the entire show, Dawson, the main character, is working on creating said show, Dawson's Creek, but by like slightly different name. And it kind of goes in a loop if you get me. Like, it's like a forever loop that never really ends. And his show is on TV that everybody, like all of his friends who are part of the cast, are watching. So I think that, as well as like a concept to like discuss, this is clearly like a show written and made by the nerdiest of nerds. The main character is a massive Spielberg fan and kind of goes into writing as well as directing. So I feel like that's an interesting concept to maybe kind of be discussing it in that kind of view. But I just wanted to, because I've just watched episode 1 and it's pretty late. I don't know whether I'll be able to watch the second episode or what. But like, this show just fucking goes. It just goes. Like, what the show starts and he already thinks his mum is having an affair. His best friend, who's a girl called Joey, is like, I mean, they're like early puberty, 13 or 14, maybe 15, I can't remember. And she's kind of brought attention to this and kind of made it weird. Dawson's parents are like fucking like wild animals. just fucking all the time. I just, wow. And they have their third friend, who's a boy called Pacey, who I have the biggest soft spot for. I love him so much. So I often refer to this particular meme, the 2 wolves inside you meme. And I honestly feel like the 2 wolves inside of me, in reference to Dawson's Creek, are Joey and Pacey. And I will discuss that further as I watch this show, because it just kind of becomes more and more obvious why I feel this way. But he is like, he's also like, they're all losers. They're all fucking losers. But Pacey thinks he's hot shit, so he acts like hot shit. But he's a fucking loser with an awful haircut for like a while. His haircut is bad and his clothes are not good either. You know, Katie Holmes plays Joey, and Joey's dad is in prison on drug charges. Her mum's dead, died of cancer. She's living with her pregnant, unmarried sister and her black boyfriend, who is the only black person in this show for like most of it. And even then, you don't see him. Like, you do see him, just not a lot. Just like considering there's a lot of shots with Joey and her sister in their house. You know, it's like he doesn't live there, and they literally wrote that into the plot later on, that he couldn't live with them because he had to go and stay somewhere else to get a job to pay bills. I don't know, we'll get there. Dawson's mum is an anchor woman and his dad is trying to start a restaurant business, I guess. We haven't met Pacey's dad yet, but he's a cop, ACAB. He's also a fucking dickhead. He's also got an older brother who's a cop, who's also a fucking dickhead. And there's this running joke throughout the series that his older brother is gay. I find it like quite amusing, because Pacey's also very much like, hey, you know, like, I don't mind if you're gay. We will touch more on that joke as I go with this as well. New girl moves to town, very short, blonde, very typical fucking white girl shit, you know, called Jen. She moves in next door to Dawson, who is a little old lady and her husband who's just had to have like heart surgery. So she's moved in under the guise of taking, like, you know, helping her grandparents out a little bit. But little do we know, there is some spiciness going on in her past. And obviously everyone's like already in love with her except from Joey, the girl best friend, TM. Dawson's like actually in love with her. Pacey's just a pervert. That's like his character trait, is pervert. But I love him. Sorry, not sorry. I love him a lot. Dawson kind of asks Jen to go on a date because Pacey wants to stalk his teacher, who he's trying to fuck. This is the plot, like, out of all the plot lines, I really think this is probably my least favourite one, just because, like, I just hate teacher-student affairs. But I feel like this show handled it reasonably well. Again, we'll continue talking about that as it pops up. And then by the end of the episode, he's making out with her after someone punched him in the face in the movie theatre. They don't make shows like this anymore. They're so cheesy, but in like actually somewhat a believable way, because fucking big mood me as a 14 to 15-year-old, always trying to act grown up and shit, you know, just like a load of bullshit. What? So that's what's happened so far. See you soon. I've literally just fucking stopped filming and started watching episode 2, but like, I just think it's really funny. This is definitely some foreshadowing. Dawson says to Dawson says to Joey, but the thing is, will your lips ever find Pacey's? Because they're all filming a short film for Dawson, and he wants Pacey and Joey to kiss on camera. She's like, no, he's disgusting. So he's trying to convince her to kiss Pacey, and I just found that moment really funny, of like, but will your lips ever find Pacey's? And it's like, bitch, one day, bitch, one day they will. This is probably one of the greatest slow burns I've watched, and almost, I just can't, I gotta stop. He's just made like a fucking model of Joey's head, and I know it's for the film, but it's really creepy, and I just don't. Gross. So before I go to bed, I watched episode 2, and then like the beginning of episode 3. Episode 2 was just Dawson being obsessed with Jen, but being too much of a pussy to ask her to dance. So he creates a whole fucking massive scene as per, and then more of Pacey trying to get his teacher, and he succeeds really. So at the end of the episode, Dawson is finally actually going on dates with Jen, and Joey's just kind of like, it's really obvious I fancy you, but wow, okay, you'll just fuck me then, bro, okay. And then the beginning of episode 3 is literally Dawson being so like gross and lovey-dovey, like, oh my god, I'm so happy, I love my life, I'm such a stereotypical white boy, I have so much privilege. And then Joey's like finally really showing us the intelligence she has beneath her and the feminism icon. Basically, she just kind of keeps getting better in that regard. T. I forgot that happened so early.
Separate vacations. Dawson? I know your cinematic influences are still evolving, but I never anticipated a Russ Meyer phase.
I didn't shoot this.
I think we found the perfect anniversary with Dawson. What is this?
I don't know, I just swear I didn't shoot it. I just left the camera laying and ran into the middle of this.
You know, it's not without a certain quality.
Very watchable.
Yeah.
Funny, that woman looks familiar.
I know what you mean. You brushed her hair out of her eyes a little.
And then you sat her behind the big school desk?
I could almost...
Miss Jacobs.
So, end of episode 3, Pacey finally sleeps with the teacher. It was accidentally recorded by Dawson. And both Dawson and Joey then watched the sex tape. Pacey is 15. Oh, and also there's just a lot of like a filler of Dawson being a whiny white guy who's like feels entitled to things for no reason. And Joey went on like a weird few dates with some guy and found out he was also lying to her about who he was and where he lived. But she was doing the same thing anyway, so who cares? I feel like there's like one thing in particular that this show kind of just got really right that you don't see in many shows, especially about like teenage boys. But like, they're just like, oh hi, low-key vulnerable with each other sometimes, and it's just so nice and refreshing to see. So like, Pacey has just admitted to Dawson that that's him on the date, and he's really nervous that he maybe didn't do well because that was him losing his fucking virginity. So he was like, yeah, saying like, oh, I don't know, did I perform up to standards or some shit? And Dawson was like, yeah, I mean, you're really great as far as I can tell, because he is also a big fat virgin, so.
No guy's first time should be captured on video.
Crazy. I don't think there currently exists a word to describe my reaction.
But I like her, Dawson. I really do. And it's not just the sex, man. I don't know. Maybe this is too improbable or bizarre to ever work out. But
bizarre might be a real word, yeah.
This is gonna sound a little strange, but on the tape, but I mean, did I look all right? Performance-wise, did I cut it, man?
Yeah, you did fine, man. From what I can tell. Yeah. You did fine.
Cool, man. Thanks.
I also think that they have done a really good job with the friendship dynamic of like the main, currently it's the main 4, but there's more people who join later on. Each of them has their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and they sort of offset each other really well, and they all become each other's like logical brain. I don't know, I can't think what exactly I'm trying to say. So we're closing in on the end of episode 5. The affair of Dawson's mum has become like public knowledge now. The dad's really mad. I have like issues with how this kind of carries on through the show, because the dad finds it basically impossible to forgive her for like a really, really long time, which I don't fucking blame him. They've been married for like 20 years and she'd been shagging someone else for a year behind his back from her work. Like, that's fucked. But I think there's a point where Dawson's like, why don't you just accept her back? And it's like, I know you're a child, but please. This episode has also been where Jen, who is dating Dawson, admitted that she is not a virgin, like by any means. And it kind of is just ending with her being like, right, so basically I lost my virginity to an older guy who got me drunk, which is like a massive mood. She was 12, I think she said as well. And she goes on about that a little while, but then she says that she was sexualized too young. This show is so much more woke than literally any other shows. Like, as well, when it comes to the teacher-student relationship of this show, because there's some deals with that. Pacey's brother has found out, Pacey's older brother, who's a cop for a start, but also in our bed, but also like he's in the right here, like that's also super fucked. This show, you know, makes it clear that that's not okay, whereas like Pretty Little Liars is like, yeah, fuck it up. Ezra and Arya, like I liked Ezra, but sir, you are a pedo. Sir, that is illegal. Stop. You know, like I could basically find a more recent version of every storyline that they use in this show, and this was like from 1999, but like every plotline that this show does and does well, I could give you so many versions of each plotline that's more recent and badly done. Like, this was one of the shows that made me go, fuck, like, our media has just gone back in time. It's not gotten better, because this was pretty lit. Like, I know everyone's really, 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 really white and cis and able-bodied, but like, the issues that they discuss are like subjects that many TV shows don't want to get into, or if they do, they just make it okay, and it's like, stop that. It's never okay to sleep with a student. Pardon me. Even in university and you are an adult, it is still not okay. That is a power dynamic issue. Stop.
Then tell him that kiss meant nothing.
Pacey is such an icon. Looking out for Joey. She is getting drunk because she's sad for some reason, because I don't know, I stopped watching properly. Some fucking guy with some long hair that needs a cut is getting her drunk to try and sleep with her, and Pacey keeps butting in like, do you mind? Icon, love him. I've just remembered, this is episode 10. Joey and Pacey have to work together on a extra credit, I don't know, project or some shit together in their own free time. And this is kind of like the first time they ever really hang out, just these two. And this was when I started shipping Pacey and Joey. Hell yeah. Because like, I mean, I love their dynamic generally, where they just absolutely constantly throw shit at each other verbally. It's just constant banter and sass and like kind of arguments, because they're very different people. And this is like the first time when they both kind of go, actually, hold on, wait. You know, like, this episode is an almost but not quite, which just makes their love story so much better, because there's so much waiting and you're never really sure, and you think it's just one and done and in the past because it was one mistake and like fleeting teenage hormones. I love them so much. I really wish they hadn't made Joey sing this song in the pageant episode. She's not a strong singer. So there we are, I've finished season 1 now. So the general summary of like the few episodes that I just didn't really talk about. Jen's granddad died. Sorry. It's not funny. Jen's granddad died. Dawson realised he was in love with Joey. Joey didn't want Dawson to be in love with her anymore, because the reason he realised was because she was dressing like femme and shit, and she's kind of more of a tomboy. So he, you know, she wasn't feeling so hot about the fact that Dawson had this realisation just because she had some makeup on and her hair done and a dress, you know? Pacey also was in the... I can't hold my little finger down, it twitches around. Pacey was also in the beauty pageant as the only man. That was amusing. Joey gets the opportunity to go away to France, chooses not to go. She chooses not to go, she's staying for Dawson, who finally, you know, has stopped being a little bitch. But she also was made to see her dad in prison, made to talk about it, and he, you know, did the dad thing where he made it sound like he cared and was regretful of his actions and missed his children and his dead wife. But I mean, later on in a later series, he comes back, he's out of prison, and he's a fucking idiot. So pardon me, he's a fucking fool. He's a fool. This is me correcting my ableist leaning language, so I'm going to keep that in just because I want you to know idiot is ableist. Use fool instead. It has a really great feel to it, to be honest. But he's a fucking knobhead, innit? Just call him a knobhead. So the season ends with some big dramatic kiss between Joey and Dawson. So this next season at least the first few episodes, are going to be them being gross before they break up over something probably very silly. Because I can't remember what it was, but I know they break up for something that just doesn't make sense. But there was, before they got together, there was a lot of like fart-arsing about with Jen. Broke up with Dawson because she, you know, did the thing that I used to do where all, you know, she couldn't be alone. Same. So she was like, I need to spend some time alone before I decide, you know, before we try again, Dawson. But then as soon as she noticed that he was kind of like, for Joey, she was like, I want you, Dawson. And then he was like, wow, I'm a little bitch. I'm a 15-year-old boy with 2 beautiful women after me. Of course I can't pick one. Well, that's all it is. It's just, he's like, wow, can I have my cake and eat it? But also, he's still a big fat virgin. Oh yeah, and Pacey asked Dawson if he would have a problem with Pacey telling Joey he had feelings for her and wanted to date her. At first he went, no, why would I have a problem with that? We are just friends. Then he went, yes, I have a problem with that. And Pacey was like, okay, so you don't want her, but you don't want anybody else to want her. Cool. But then Pacey was rejected anyway. My heart is broken. My heart will continue to bleed until they get together again, and then they break up again, and then they get together again, and then they break up again and get together again. Something like that. Because I remember their, like, proper breakup. That was intense. The reason why I love Pacey, like, it becomes more and more evident as the show goes on, but he is so flawed. He is so flawed. He does some really shitty things to people, and he forgets who he is. He forgets who he wants to be when there seems to be like an easier option. He really goes through the shitter, this man, whereas I don't feel like the other characters necessarily do. Like, he's a lot more morally grey. So is Audrey, who is a character who joins them later on. I mean, I guess Jen would also be a lot more morally grey too. She goes through a lot of shit, but I just really love Pacey. I have a soft spot for the kind of boy Pacey is. I was saying a thing. Oh yeah, like, this is something that I feel like is never mastered very well in TV, film, books. A genuinely real person who makes very real choices that are not always good. By the end, not necessarily by the end, I think he continues to learn his lessons. I feel like it's similar for a lot of the characters in this show, that they do very questionable things that, you know, would make you think, wow, you're a fucking horrible person, but they learn from it, which is just not mastered in quite the same way in other media that I watch for the most part. You know, doing bad things condemns a lot of characters to just be bad forever, or characters doing really bad things and being forgiven for no reason and never learning their lesson. You know, it tends to be in either of those polar opposites, and never like the real life middle ground of everybody does shitty things sometimes. Not everybody is a shitty person because they do those things. Sometimes it's just you're in a bad place. Sometimes you just don't know things well enough. And especially with Dawson's Creek, they are very young at the start of this show. I think they are 19 or 20 by the end, so they're young, you know, early in their life. I'm 26 and I still make bad choices, and I'm absolutely not fully educated in any way. Even though they argue amongst themselves, they have fights, they fall out, they fall back together again eventually, pretty much. They all forgive each other for things that happen, which, you know, I don't necessarily think you should forgive people for doing really bad things to you, but this show kind of put it in like a relatively healthy way where they compartmentalize a lot of things. What am I saying? This is where my writing degree comes in handy, because this would make a lot more sense written down, because I could edit it, read the sentence a million times and edit what I've written, Whereas when I say a thing, it's gone. And then I'll say a thing, it's gone. I think of another thing I want to say before I continue thing one, and then it just keeps repeating. This is just my brain all the time. I'm just now able to identify what it's doing. Anyway, that was season 1 of Dawson's Creek. Let me know if you'd like to see season 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I may film it by myself anyway and see what your response is to the video, or I may not. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you would like to see this carry on as a series. Generally, it's just something I thought of as a joke and decided just fuck it, we'll give it a go. I have been running pretty low on motivation and inspiration for videos and blog content recently, so honestly this was just a random idea that I thought was relatively easy but also fun and kind of just silly, you know? It is what it is. Let me know if you've watched this. Talk to me about Dawson's Creek. This is such an old show. There's nobody my age talking about Dawson's Creek. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more of me talking about shit. Eventually it gets gay, I promise, so at least it'll be like semi-relevant. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'll see you next week.